Something huge just happened. On July 1st, 2024, the criminal laws in India got a massive overhaul. The old Indian Penal Code? It's gone. Now we have the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, or BNS. And stick with me because in the next few minutes, we're going to break down 5 laws from this new code that you have to know. So, let me ask you, are you ready for this? I mean, really ready? Because whether it's a small argument with a neighbor or something much more serious, these new laws, they're going to touch all of our lives. Yep, you heard that right. We're talking about a law that's been around for 160 years, just gone. The old colonial-era IPC is officially history. We're in a brand new legal era, all thanks to the BNS. All right, so here's what we've got lined up. First, we'll quickly cover what the BNS even is. Then we're diving into the stuff that can happen any day. Theft, arguments, even online scams. We'll also tackle the big one, murder, and then get into something totally new, organized crime. And at the end, we'll pull it all together so you know what it means for you and your rights. Sound good? Let's go. Okay, so the BNS, that's the new rulebook for crime in India. It takes the old laws, shakes them up, and even adds some new ones. Now, we're not going to get bogged down in a bunch of legal gobbledygook. The whole point here is to see how this stuff actually works in the real world, using 5 simple examples you can totally relate to. First up, let's talk about the kinds of crimes that, let's be honest, could happen to any one of us. These are the things you might see or hear about in your own neighborhood. And knowing the law here, that's basically your first shield. All right, first on the list, theft or chori. The idea is actually pretty simple. It's when someone takes something that isn't theirs, something you can pick up and move, and they do it on purpose, without asking. The 2 big things to remember are dishonest intention and without permission. That's the combo that makes it theft. I mean, picture this. We've all been there. You're packed onto a bus, it's crowded, and someone just snags your phone right out of your pocket. Your phone? That's movable property. They didn't ask you, right? And they definitely weren't planning on giving it back. Boom. That's a textbook case of theft under the new law. Okay, next we have hurts or chut ponchana. And this is really important. It's not just about, a black eye or a cut. The law says it's causing any kind of bodily pain, getting someone sick, or making them weak. It's a super broad term that can mean anything from a simple push to something way more serious. So think about those classic arguments over a parking spot. Things get heated, your neighbor gives you a shove, you stumble and sprain your wrist. That push, the one that caused you pain and made you unable to use your wrist properly, that's legally hurt. So what happens if you're caught? Well, for theft, you could be looking at up to 3 years. For causing hurt, it's up to 1 year. But here's the really interesting part. See that last column? Both are bailable. What does that mean? Basically, it means the person accused usually has the right to get out of jail by paying a bond until their trial. That's a super important detail, so keep it in mind. All right, let's switch gears and talk about money. Specifically, crimes that go after your wallet, especially now that we do everything online. Things like cheating and scams are everywhere, right? Well, the BNIS has some specific things to say about that. So what exactly is cheating, or dhokadhari? At its core, it's all about being tricked. Someone lies to you to get you to hand over your money or your property. It's something you would never have done if you'd known what was really going on. And here's an example I bet a lot of us can relate to. You're scrolling online, you see an amazing deal on something you've wanted for ages. You click, you pay, and then nothing. The package never shows up, and the website is gone. Poof! You were tricked into giving away your cash. That, right there, is a classic case of cheating. And the consequences? They're pretty serious. We're talking up to 3 years behind bars. Now, just like the other things we've talked about, this one is also usually bailable. But what happens when a crime is so bad that you lose that right to bail? Let's find out. Okay, we need to get serious for a moment. We're about to talk about the absolute gravest offense there is, murder, or hatya. This is about intentionally taking someone's life, and as you can imagine, the BNS has the absolute harshest penalties for it. The single most important word when we talk about murder is intention. It's not enough that someone died. For it to be murder, the person who did it had to mean to cause that death, or they had to know that what they were doing was so incredibly dangerous that someone was almost guaranteed to die. This scenario really lays it out. Let's say a robber uses a knife, but not just to scare someone. They use it with a direct goal of killing the person so they can't be identified later. It's that intent to kill that turns the act into murder. And look at the punishment. It doesn't get more severe than this: life in prison or even the death penalty. But look at that bail rule. Remember how the others were bailable? Not this one. Murder is non-bailable. That means there is no automatic right to get out of jail. It's completely up to the judge, and believe me, it is almost never given. Okay, now for something that is a total game changer in Indian law. For the first time ever, our main criminal law book officially defines and sets out punishments for organized crime. This is a huge deal, and it's aimed squarely at those big criminal networks that run like corporations. So what is it exactly? Well, it's not just one thing. Think of it like a three-part recipe. First, you need an illegal act done by a criminal group. Second, they have to be using nasty methods like violence or threats. And third, the whole point has to be about making money or getting some kind of material gain. You need all three for it to be organized crime. And the government is not messing around with this one. Just for being a member of one of these gangs, you are looking at a minimum of 5 years in prison. That's a powerful message, right? They're trying to break these networks apart from the bottom up. Okay, so we've looked at theft, hurt, cheating, murder, and this new organized crime law. Let's step back for a second and ask the big question. So what? What does any of this mean for you, an ordinary citizen? How does knowing this stuff actually make a difference? Look, at the end of the day, the most powerful tool you have is what's in your head. It's knowledge. Just knowing that the old IPC is gone and the BNS is here, that's step one. And understanding the basics of these crimes we talked about, that's not just for lawyers, it's for you. It's how you spot a problem, how you know your rights, and how you can keep yourself safe. So, I want to leave you with this thought. Now that you've got this little peek into the new BNS, how are you going to use it? How can knowing about these 5 laws help you walk through the world just a little bit safer, a little more aware, and a little more confident? Think about it.